to these resources to verify his story before lying under oath.
Shanek says his legal team is currently quantifying the damage caused to his reputation.
We are quantifying the damages because it has far-reaching effects, particularly because the Matango Commission has been broadcast nationally and internationally.
A probe is underway into an explosion which left 3 security guards injured at the Bree substation in Johannesburg last night. Joburg City Power says the blast left some parts of the Joburg CBD without electricity. Investigative teams discovered a burnt knife near the affected cables, which are believed to have been tampered with. City Power's Isaac Mangina says smoke from the explosion has now cleared and technical teams are assessing the damage.
The incident resulted in power outage affecting most of the inner city actually. 3 on-site security guards were also injured and 1 is critical and he has been taken to hospital with burn wounds where he's receiving necessary medical care.
We shift our focus to this now. Some economists expect National Treasury to table the revised inflation target framework when Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana delivers the medium-term policy statement this afternoon. Godongwana will address MPs in the country at 2 p.m. on government's possible adjustment to budget. It's the first mini-budget under the coalition government, Nogukanya Mdambo reports.
Economists expect the mini-budget to reflect a slightly brighter fiscal position, with Treasury showing progress in stabilising government's finances. On the policy announcements, Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana could show his cards on the inflation targeting discussions. In July, the Reserve Bank announced 3% as its preferred inflation anchor within the 3 to 6% target band. Godongwana's input was absent from the announcement, causing some uncertainty. The fiscal and monetary policy institutions later found common ground, confirming that joint technical work on the new framework was at an advanced stage. Economist at Sanlam Investments, Patrick Buthelezi.
Overall, we expect the MTBPS to build on the first GNU budget. We see potential upside surprises from sustained high terms of trade.
On the downside, Buthelezi says there are still some risks to the country's finances from SOEs, NSFAS funding shortfalls, social grants and NHI. Nogukanya Mdambo, Eyewitness News.
In the Western Cape, a mountain fire caused by lightning strikes in the vicinity of Tawakorp Ladysmith continues to burn. Officials say no infrastructure is currently in danger. Garden Route District Municipality Chief Fire Officer Dion George.
All accessible lines are contained and extinguished. Fire activity, however, remain on the northern ridges of the mountain. These are broken up lines and are monitored by the crews. Patrol and verification of contained lines will proceed throughout the day.
Meanwhile, in the Overberg, 2 firefighters have sustained injuries after a fire truck rolled down an embankment while responding to a veld fire in Bredasdorp. The crew members were transported to a local hospital for medical care yesterday. The Overberg District Municipality says while this has been a challenging and intense fire to contain, its teams are continuing efforts to bring it fully under control. And Thailand has extradited a Chinese national accused of building an illicit gambling empire. Shi Zijiang was arrested by Thai police in 2022 on an international warrant and an Interpol red notice requested by Beijing. China says the 43-year-old has been running illegal online gambling rings, and this week a Thai court upheld the decision to extradite him. He arrived at the Bangkok airport today, flanked by 2 security officials. His extradition comes ahead of a landmark visit by Thailand's king to Beijing, the first state visit by China by a reigning Thai monarch, and a sign of deepening ties. Gold is trading at $4,124.99 an ounce. The rand is at 17.13 to the dollar, 22.48 to the pound, 19.83 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $65.16 a barrel.
Well, at this stage, if you're leaving Germiston heading towards the Joburg CBD, expect heavy delays. This is in the Selby area, M2 westbound between Heidelberg Road and the Crown Interchange, and also look out for those roadworks in the Calvin Alex area heading towards Midrand, causing delays on the N3 northbound between London Road and the Butler Interchange.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng with afternoon showers and thundershowers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 25 and 27 degrees, while Cape Town is fine with a moderate southeasterly wind at a high of 28. The top story in EWN this hour: cases of fraud and defamation have been opened against embattled crime intelligence head Dumsani Khumalo at the Brooklyn Police Station in Pretoria today.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. You're with Mandy Wiener on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. Think bigger, think Nedbank Commercial Banking. On the show today, we'll look ahead to this afternoon's medium-term budget speech. Tax, inflation and infrastructure development on the agenda. Parties tell us what their expectations are ahead of Enoch Godongwana's speech. A spate of violent crime in the Western Cape. We'll speak to the police. The Ekurhuleni Metro Police is still in the spotlight at Madlanga. And the latest from Duduzile Zuma Sambudla's trial. All of that over the next hour.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Report on 702 and Cape Talk with me, Mandy Wiener. Great to be with you today. Interesting story that's in Eyewitness News. So if you're mentioned at the Madlanga inquiry, is your reputation immediately damaged? And then you can bring a damages claim against someone, or do we wait until the end of the commission so that a finding can be made, or do we wait for criminal charges to be instituted? So this is the tricky thing, right? When you have an inquiry, and this feeds back to what Shamila Batoy was doing yesterday in not disclosing the name of the prosecutor that was at the center of the NPA allegations. So what happens now when somebody like Mkwanazi makes claims against people in the inquiry as he has done? Are those people immediately defamed according to the law? They'll get an opportunity to defend themselves at the Madlanga inquiry or at the ad hoc inquiry, but a legal claim, no doubt, coming there as well, and then charges also against Mkwanazi for defamation. Interesting. We'll follow the progress of that. We are watching the Madlanga inquiry for you. We're also watching the latest from Duduzile Zuma Sambudla's trial because she pleaded yesterday not guilty. So we'll bring you all of that. But of course, the big story for today is the medium-term budget speech. The Finance Minister, Enoch Godongwana, due to deliver that this afternoon. And he has been speaking briefly to some media, saying that he's feeling good. He's in a good mood. He told ENCA's business anchor today. Quite a difficult task he has, because I think what we're going to be watching, a few different things, is tax. So tax revenue, we've seen some positives there. So I think we could see a little bit of positivity in this medium-term budget speech today. Kusatu calling for Godongwana to be progressive and bold. The MK party saying that they want large-scale investment in infrastructure and public employment programs, such as the expanded public works program and the presidential employment stimulus. They want an end to austerity. So we'll speak to the EFF. We'll speak to Action SA, and we'll also speak to the ANC. There haven't been any issues around this budget speech. And remember, how can you forget, of course, what happened with the budget earlier this year, budget 1.0, budget 2.0, budget 3.0. It seems as though all is on track. And remember, we had that retreat about a week ago, 10 days ago, where the leaders of all the GNU parties had been meeting to try and get get some kind of consensus on various issues. And I imagine the medium-term budget speech was amongst those issues that was discussed, and they said as much to us. So I don't think we're going to see any kind of protestation, any kind of disagreements when it comes to the medium-term budget. We don't know if that will happen when it comes to the budget, but I think the big focus is going to be on inflation today. And does the finance minister say anything about that inflation target? We know that historically it has been a 3 to 6% target band that we've been focusing on from the Reserve Bank. But earlier, the Reserve Bank Governor, Lesetja Kganyago, earlier this year, saying that they are going to be looking at a 3% target. So let's see if he says anything today about that inflation speech, about that inflation target. So we'll find out about that this afternoon. So we will speak to all of those political parties coming through. We'll speak to Mdumiseni Ntuli from the ANC Chief Whip, Ompile Maotwe, the EFF Treasurer General, Ethel Trollip, the Action SA Parliamentary Leader, after the break.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently.
Real growth needs more than just banking, and Nedbank Commercial Banking is your growth partner. Their team of industry experts understand your business and its potential, offering insight to help you see opportunity where others see obstacles. Because when you can see what others don't, you can do what others can't. Think bigger. Think Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Experience a unique musical journey as the Mzansi National Philharmonic Orchestra presents its national tour, featuring legendary conductor Marin Alsop and homegrown global sensation Abel Selauchwe. The program includes Selauchwe's Four Spirits Cello Concerto, paired with Rachmaninoff's Romantic Symphony No. 2. Concerts take place at the Linda Auditorium on Wednesday the 10th and Thursday the 11th of December. Book your tickets now at Quicket.
At Auto & General, we understand your business is built on more than just vehicles. It's your stock, tools and equipment, and the premises where you work. Auto & General Business Insurance is designed for businesses like yours, protecting your assets against fire, theft, storms, and other unexpected events. To protect your livelihood, visit autogen.co.za and get an obligation-free business insurance quote. Auto & General, never not there. Auto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
At Isuzu, we know every delivery, every kilometer, and every load is building something bigger. This truck month, set your business up for success with special deals across the Isuzu N and F-Series ranges. Don't get left behind. Speak to your Isuzu truck specialist or call 08600 Isuzu and secure your truck month deal today. Isuzu, with you for the long run. T's and C's apply.
And now, it's back to Mandy Wiener on the Midday Report.
This is 702.
Let's walk the talk.
12:14 on the Midday Report. Let's look ahead now to the medium-term budget to be delivered by the Finance Minister this afternoon. And let's get a sense from the ANC of their expectations. Mdumiseni Ntuli is the Chief Whip of the ANC and joins us now. Mdumiseni Ntuli, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for your time.
Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to the listeners of 702, and thank you very much for having us.
Before we get into your expectations, is all on track with the various political parties in the GNU? No disagreements over the medium-term budget as we saw with the budget?
Well, yes, indeed. From where we are, I'm of the firm view that all parties are on board with regard to the presentation of the medium-term budget policy statement by the minister within the next 2 hours. I think everybody seems to be fine with the trajectory that the minister has signaled to be taking in terms of the budget presentation later this afternoon. I am not aware of any political party that may be so uncomfortable that maybe at a later stage might decide to vote against the budget. But if anything like that comes up, we will learn about it post the presentation today.
Were the other parties involved in the process, or was this an ANC process?
They were involved in the process, especially at a cabinet level. Remember that before the budget is presented in Parliament, it has to be prepared by the minister and the department and be presented to cabinet, which was done. And I also understand that when the president convened a leaders' retreat a week ago, there was also some discussions about contentious issues, including how to manage issues of budgets and policy disagreements in a way that doesn't affect and undermine the cohesion of the government of national unity. So I've also had some interactions with the various chief whips in terms of their and my own expectations of the budget and what we need to work together to achieve. My sense is that everybody seems to be moving along in consensus about where we should go. There may be certain areas of details where there are disagreements, but I don't expect them to be that major as it was in the last budget presentation.
Okay, from the ANC's perspective, what are your expectations today? What would you like to see the finance minister deliver in his medium-term budget?
Well, for us, it's important that we must continue to strengthen the state cooperations, the state-owned enterprise companies, ESCOM, because as we can see, when government spend a lot of time and money investing on the rebuilding and somehow a restructuring of ESCOM, we can see the results because we've succeeded to a very large extent to do away with load sheddings and a lot of power cuts which we've gone through over the past few years. The same attitude and intensity of investment is our view that it must be done to Transnet so that we address the problems relating to the backlog in many of our ports, especially the Durban and the Richards Bay ports, which over a period of time have indicated major concerns and weaknesses in terms of our capacity to ship goods out and to receive those that are coming to the country. Because unless you are doing well at that level, it has a negative impact on your economic growth and your capacity to have an efficient and effective economy that will generate the required resources for investment in the country and to create jobs. The third area, of course, is that we have to continue we are expecting the minister to demonstrate a continuing commitment towards investment on infrastructure. We have seen, and I think South Africans, many of us have witnessed a great job, for instance, done by Sanral. If you look at the road infrastructure in the Eastern Cape, in some parts of KwaZulu-Natal, Mpumalanga and Gauteng, we want to see the continuation of that kind of investment because it does not only generate a job and get people employed, but it is also a good investment in terms of the economic growth because without that network infrastructure, there's no way that we're going to succeed to grow the economy at a level at which it can live up to the demands of the country.
And lastly, Mdumiseni, do you have a view as the ANC on the inflation band and whether you would like to see it fixed at 3% or any kind of movement there?
Well, we haven't really had a very informed discussion, a detailed discussion on that matter. I know that in our strategy committee of caucus, we reflected briefly on it on Sunday, but it's a matter that we have not exhausted and assumed a firm view as the ANC caucus in terms of how it must be handled. I'm sure post the presentation of the budget and as we continue to look at the numbers, I looked at the report that was presented by the Statistics General's Office, for instance, about the performance of the economy and which sectors are doing well and what needs to be done to check up the sectors that are lagging behind. I think that conversation will have to take place within that broader context so that a decision that we take is informed by all circumstances within our own economy.
Mdumiseni Ntuli, Chief Whip of the ANC, thank you very much for your time, giving us the expectations there. It seems all on track between the GNU parties for Enoch Godongwana to deliver that address today. What are the expectations of the other political parties? Let's speak to the EFF's Treasurer General, Ompile Maotwe. Ompile, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for your time. What would you like to see the Finance Minister focusing on today?
Good afternoon to you too and the listeners of 702 at home. we're not expecting anything new, anything different. And we're not shocked that the partners in the GNU seem to have agreed with his path. We're talking about a GNU that is predominantly neoliberal in nature. And if you look at the policies that they've been pursuing over the years, are neoliberal policies which have not shown any growth in terms of the economy. For over a decade, we've not seen the economy growing by over 2%. I mean, last year, they projected an economic growth of 1.3%. However, they only achieved 0.6%. This year, in the first quarter, they achieved 0.1% growth, which is a nominal growth. We can't call that a growth. And then quarter two, they achieved 0.8% of the growth. So it tells you that they might not even go beyond the 1% come the end of the financial year. But what is more painful is that we see in quarter one, 237,000 jobs being lost. Quarter two, an additional 140,000 jobs being lost. Of course, the stats came out last night, and it says that it has decreased a bit to 31.9%, but that's where it was last year. We see a continuation of stagnation when it comes to the growth of the economy, and that is why we're seeing the unemployment rate just going high. We're sitting at today at 31.9, but if you look at expanded unemployment rate, is sitting at 43%, which means we are in a crisis. And I do know that they're going to come and irritate us and celebrate the coming off from the grey listing. But it does not mean anything if men and women wake up in the morning and still go to bed with no hope of ever getting jobs. So the minister has failed. I mean, if you look at the four key strategic objectives of the minister, one is to have sound fiscal policies that are driving the economic growth and social development. The policy must reduce poverty and inequality. The policy must support infrastructure development and state capacity. But the opposite is happening everywhere. I mean, they've got what they call Operation Vulindlela, which is opening the doors for private sector. Now, if you privatize state-owned entities, you prioritize private profits over public service. We're going to sit with a government that is unable to offer basic services to its people. And that's a crisis that we're facing in this country at the moment.
In an ideal world, what would the EFF like him to say? I know that you've covered what you expect him to say, but what would you like him to say?
He needs to change the policy direction, the fiscal policy direction of this country. Today he's going to be making a policy statement that will filter into the budget next year. But it must be a policy shift from this new liberal policy framework that they come up with all the time. Let's capacitate the state. Let the state be at the center of development in this country. Let's unlock infrastructure development so that municipalities at the moment, they are unable to run basic services because the infrastructure has collapsed. There are no roads, there's no water, there's no sewage systems, there's just nothing. So the municipality is collapsing right now with these policies. Now, strengthen and support infrastructure development, create state capacity, do not privatize. I mean, the IMF is projecting a growth of 1.1%, but it's based on privatization of the energy sector and the logistics sector. So you can see what this big IMF and the World Bank, what they're pushing for us as South Africa. They're pushing us towards the direction of privatization. We're going to have a state that can't afford to do anything. I mean, if the economy does not grow, you are guaranteed that there will be no job creation. We as South Africa, we are a consuming country. We need to move into a producing country as opposed to a consumer-based country.
Ompile, thank you so much. Ompile Maotwe is the Treasurer General of the Economic Freedom Fighters, speaking there about the need for a policy change from the EFF's perspective. I have to agree on the issue of growth. Our growth is sitting at 0.6%, which is way too low. We know that the GNU is targeting 2 to 3%. We're nowhere near that. So policy direction will be a big issue this afternoon.
7:02, the Midday Report, Monday to Friday.
12 to 1 p.m.
Well, let's get some reaction now, or some what's the opposite of reaction? Predictions from Ethel Trollip and what Action SA's expectations are ahead of that medium-term budget speech this afternoon. Ethel Trollip, good afternoon to you. Thank you for your time. What are Action SA's expectations?
Good afternoon, Mandy. Thanks very much. Look, Mandy, I did ask the Deputy President yesterday if we can expect any surprises like we did that were opposed to the budget, and he said not. He says that they have unity and that they're all focused, and that's good news. I think there are three things that we've identified that we want to hear the Minister of Finance speak about. First of all, our growth trajectory is still way below where it should be. We've seen other sub-Saharan African countries growing at between 3 and 4%, and we're still below 1%. And the USA and tariffs cannot be the scapegoat because they're applicable across the world. So we're looking to hear what the Minister has to say about that. We're very interested to hear the actual figures about revenue collection because SARS has done really well, and we believe they've exceeded their targets, which is good because that's why we actually supported the fiscal framework when the budget was aborted the first time, because we believe that you don't have to increase VAT or increase the fuel levy, just fund SARS appropriately and let them do their job and make sure that they're taxing the illicit economy, and then we can get away without making the man in the street pay for it. And then the third issue, which I think is the main issue in our country, is that our illicit economy is growing far too quickly. It exposes the public to, concoctions in liquor and cigarettes that are not controlled. We've seen that it drives the corrupt economy. We've seen an increase in zamazamas. We've seen oil and fuel that's, compromised. And that economy is growing. And of course, it operates outside of the revenue network. And we need to do a lot more to restrict that illicit economy because it doesn't actually grow jobs. We need the legitimate economy to grow, and we need legitimate companies to be able to make profits to create jobs. So if we cut our costs and we reduce the size of our cabinet, for example, we can better fund SARS, we can better fund the border management agency, and we can better fund the police services that are a team that tackle the illicit economy. And if we do that, we'll be able to start matching the economic growth of other sub-Saharan African countries.
Ethel, that's what you'd obviously like to see happen. Any mention around potential inflation issues? That's one of the big things we're looking at, whether it'll be at 3% or not, and anything said by the Finance Minister today?
Well, I don't want to predict that or preempt, but the Minister has been making noises about re-looking at inflation targeting and bringing it down. That remains to be seen. We'll comment after his speech in that regard. But we just believe that our economy should be doing a whole lot better if we did something about the illicit economy, and it would allow SARS, for example, to collect a whole lot more revenue. And we already believe that they're going to show figures that are way in excess of what their targets were.
Right. Ethel, thank you so much. Ethel Trollip is Action SA's parliamentary leader, speaking to us there ahead of the medium-term budget speech this afternoon. What are your expectations? Anything you would like to hear about in terms of economic policy and the direction that the government is going? 12:30, time for Eyewitness News headlines.
Thanks, Mandy. Good afternoon. The South African Human Rights Commission says the Basic Education Department is still failing too many children with collapsing infrastructure and unequal access to quality teaching. The Commission has urged the department to address systematic challenges which are negatively affecting learners in public schools. That call was made during a briefing today where the Commission has been providing its findings from observations of public schools. Cases of fraud and defamation have been opened against embattled crime intelligence head Dumsani Khumalo at the Brooklyn police station in Pretoria. The cases were opened by Stuart Sharnick, a close associate of suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibia. This after Khumalo listed Sharnick's criminal history before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry last week. And some economists expect National Treasury to table the revised inflation target framework when Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana delivers the medium-term budget policy statement today. Godongwana will address MPs and the country at 2 p.m. on government's possible adjustment to budget. It's the first mini-budget under the coalition government. Those are the headlines, this EWN and more at 1 or as it happens.
EWN Sport.
Good afternoon, I'm Tolagile Mganga. Ahead of Friday's first test, the BCCI have confirmed a change to how the days will play out. The action will get underway at 5:30 in the morning because of early sunsets in the country, while the order of the session breaks will be reversed, meaning that tea will be before the lunch break. Shukri Conrad has called the two-test series against India the toughest challenge of his tenure.
Tough challenge anywhere in the world, and when you come to an iconic venue like Eden Gardens, it just makes it even tougher. I don't think you can compare the quality of the sides we played against to India, and this will be our biggest challenge. Certainly in my 20th match, I don't think there's been a bigger challenge. Yes, we had the final against Australia that we won, which was massive. I compare this series and this match to that final. That's how big it is for us.
Loet Diago will miss the remainder of the Springboks autumn series after receiving a 4-match ban for his red card against France. The team for Saturday's clash against Italy will be named tomorrow, and Damian Willemse is hoping to be in the starting 15, having missed the last year through injury.
It's really special, and I'm obviously very happy to have been playing the full season of the international season. Obviously missed it last year due to injury, so I'm very happy to be healthy and fit again. And yeah, it's been so lacquer with the boys to be back in the mix, learning a lot, and yeah, just happy to be back playing again.
And Toto Wolff is reportedly in advanced talks to sell part of his stake in Mercedes to CrowdStrike CEO George Kurtz. That's in a deal that would value the Formula One team at a record $6 billion. Wolff, Mercedes-Benz and petrochemical giant Ineos currently each hold 33% stakes in the team. Tolagile Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage, if you're leaving Germiston heading towards the Joburg CBD, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic. That's in the Joburg CBD on the M2 westbound between Heidelberg Road and the Crown Interchange, and also heading towards Midrand, leaving Alex Calvin. Those roadworks. This is on the N3 northbound between London Road and the Butlu Interchange. Also in the Mother City, there's that accident scene involving a truck N7 southbound approaching the N1, slowing down traffic all the way from Bosman's Dam Road. And there's also roadworks on the M5 northbound causing heavy delays heading towards the N2. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Team, summer is game time in Mzansi. Every tap, scan, swipe, it all adds up. And FNB is giving us big rewards, partner deals, e-bucks, defense tips, and chances to score experiences money can't buy. But you're only in the game if you pay with FNB. So stay sharp, spend clever, and let's dominate. Get in the game with FNB. Help changes everything. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, Northrise FSP and credit provider. NCRCP 20. T's and C's, earn rules and limits apply.
Take the ultimate spin with 10Bet and me, Andy Lengube, to win a luxury BMW X3. Join 10bet.co.za. Play selected games. Every 10 rands you play earns you points. Hit the top of the leaderboard and the prize could be yours. T's and C's apply. 10Bet is a licensed betting operator and supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 shall be permitted to bet. Betting can be addictive. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. License number 921096661.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a family driving to their new home, carrying boxes stacked with plates and toys and memories. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a new beginning, a fresh start on the move. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
What do partners of the Gates Foundation do when facing the world's toughest challenges? They keep going. From discovering a plastic drape that helps detect excessive postpartum bleeding faster, to developing better bed nets to kill malaria-carrying mosquitoes, to researching an RSV vaccine that could save hundreds of thousands of children. For every problem, there are people who prove that progress is possible. The Gates Foundation, partners of human potential. Learn more at gatesfoundation.org/keep going.
Small businesses are anything but small. They're the backbone of our communities, the dreamers, the doers, the ones who keep Mzansi moving forward. That's why 702 and Capitec Business Banking are putting them in the spotlight. Every Thursday between 6 and 8 p.m., catch Small Business Focus with Capitec, where we showcase the hustle, heart, and the secrets to thriving in today's economy. Your vision matters, and with Capitec, you're never building it alone. Small Business Focus with Capitec, the business bank for everyone. Thursdays between 6 and 8 p.m. on 702. Capitec Bank is an authorized FSP 46669.
WhatsApp Mandy
on 072 702 1702.
This gentleman from the ANC that just spoke that said we must keep on going state-owned enterprise. And then he uses the example of, look at Eskom. We have just solved load shedding as a problem. Who caused load shedding in the first place? And we all know that load shedding is not gone yet. We are burning tons of diesel and costing taxpayers tons of money. The only reason that they want to keep state-owned enterprises is because then they can eat while the masses go hungry. So he's bullshitting, and lying to you.
Hi, Mandy and the team. The ANC chief whip suggested that we need to invest on the infrastructure. Isn't that we need to start investing on the maintenance of the existing infrastructure? Because there is no need to invest on the new project, which will be neglected soon. So for me, it will be just a waste of money, because investment should give you a return of that investment in the future. Otherwise, it's not an investment. David.
Thank you very much for those views. Apologies for the language in that first one. You cannot say that on the radio. But thank you for sending a WhatsApp voice note. Quinton says, Mandy, the TG from the EFF says we need to focus on proper growth. And next sentence says state must be at the center of business enterprises and shareholding. Oh my word, what a joke. You cannot make this stuff up. And then Gabby says, SARS are even fining people for not filing a nil return. Even if you get 2 cents interest, you must send in a nil return filing, filling in income and all interest. You heard 2 cents, you bet, so they can fine you to get more money. Been there. Okay, thank you very much for sitting through those WhatsApp voice notes. Looking ahead to the medium-term budget speech this afternoon.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently.
Well, there are also rumblings, perhaps, of a cabinet reshuffle at some point, and that is because the Democratic Alliance's leader, John Steenhuisen, has requested the removal of Dr. Dion George as Minister of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment. So Steenhuisen wants George to be replaced by the party's national spokesperson, Willie Okamp. Willie says that he is standing by, ready to do the job if required. And there have been some concerns raised about the timing, because it comes ahead of a big international biodiversity summit, although my sense is this is more DA internal politics than anything else. Professor Dirk Kotze, political analyst, joins us now. Prof, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for your time. The environmental fraternity is suggesting that this could be a calculated maneuver to return the control of the portfolio to pro-hunting interests. But is this about politics rather than about the environmental issues, or what's your reading of it?
Good afternoon. Yes, it's difficult to know exactly. Some of them are saying that he didn't perform well. Now, that can mean many things. What you are referring to, I think, is one of it, and that is the game hunting environment. He banned the claiming of lions, breeding them in captivity and hunting them, as well as export of dry lion bones. Apparently, it's a very lucrative business. In South Africa, it will directly affect youth leaders. John Steenhuisen portfolio of agriculture in the form of game farming, as well as tourism. But at the same time, he has been exceptionally successful when it comes to the environmental impact studies for independent power producers. They've reached a target of much higher than what they've planned to do. In general, I think one of the controversies that is almost automatically involved in is that of environmental impact studies over a wide spectrum of industries, whether it is mining, whether it is now this power production, and whether it is the car power and other forms of energy. And I think there's most possibly a lot of pressure coming from those industries like the mining and the game farming and others onto the DA to say, well, you are on the one hand responsible or promoting free enterprise and open economy, but on the other hand, this is a form of regulation, which is not in our favor. So I think this is the pressure that is put on the DA that is really behind this. That would be my guess.
We also know that Andrew Whitfield is yet to be replaced, and there were reports saying that that's because the DA had not submitted a name. What do these two separate incidents tell us about what might be going on within the DA?
Well, I think what is most possibly happening is that there's lots of contestation for a position like that of Andrew Whitfield. This is no new development with respect to Dion George, but there's certainly a lot of relatively young persons within the DA who are quite have aspirations. They have seen that they have incorporated some other young DA persons, especially as deputy ministers, and therefore that type of competition is there. On top of it, one should never forget the fact that next year in April is the DA's Federal Congress, where they have to elect their complete top structure of leadership. And that in itself is very often very competitive in nature. At the same time, they have to nominate candidates for next year's local government election, and they have their particular process of interviews, but inherent in that is also competition. So there's lots of competitive processes at the moment happening, or preparation for that happening in the DA, and that I think all of that contribute to members putting up their hands to say, well, we want to be included in that.
Prof, thank you so much. Professor Dirk Kotze, political analyst, speaking to us there about the DA's request for Minister Dion George to be replaced.
702. Mandy Wiener.
Weekdays, 12 to 1 p.m.
12:43 on the Midday Report. A spate of violent crime, although how do you define a spate in the Western Cape? There's so often violent crime, but two separate incidents being reported. 2 women shot dead in Nyanga, 3 bodies found in Mitchell's Plain. Let's speak now to the Western Cape Police spokesperson, Colonel Andre Trout. Colonel, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for your time. Tell us first about the 2 women who have been shot dead in Nyanga.
Good afternoon, Mandy. Thanks for the opportunity to speak to you on these 2 incidences that occurred in the Western Cape this morning. Gunmen opened fire on commuters at the taxi rank in Nyanga. That was approximately 10:15 this morning. In the process, 2 females were shot and killed, and 7 other females and 1 male were taken to hospital with serious gunshot wounds, injuries that are currently being treated. Our detectives are currently on the scene, pursuing all leads, questioning people in a bid to get to the bottom of this incident and to apprehend those responsible for the shooting incident.
Were they bystanders, as far as you know?
Yes, they were commuters. They were at the taxi rank. This is obviously a taxi-related matter. We have our taxi experts dealing with taxi crime on the scene, currently searching the area for clues. But yes, they were regarded at this stage. They were regarded as commuters. The suspects opened fire on them, and they were 8 of them were wounded. 2 were shot and killed. The identities of those involved still needs to be determined. And at this stage, the motive seems to be taxi related, but it's too early to say exactly what led to this incident.
Sure, that's terrible. On your way to work and taxi violence like that. And then 3 bodies found in Mitchell's Plain, Colonel.
Yes, this morning a passerby noticed three people in a vehicle in a silver Polo. It was approximately 6 o'clock in Mount Clare in Lentegeur on the corners of Hillcrest Road and Parkway. Our members went to the scene and they discovered 2 men and 1 female in the vehicle. They all 3 are believed to be in their 20s, yet to be identified. We've traced the owner of the vehicle and we are questioning people at this stage. But again, it's too soon to speculate exactly what transpired. It's got the hallmark of a gang-related shooting incident, but we don't want to classify it as a gang-related shooting until we have conducted our preliminary investigation. So yes, our detectives are pursuing all avenues to get to the bottom of this one too.
Colonel, thank you very much. Colonel Andre Trout, Western Cape Police spokesperson there. So that taxi violence and then what looks like, although they're not saying it officially, gang violence resulting in those deaths. That taxi shooting is just terrifying. Just think, you're on your way to work. You're a commuter. There's enough trouble in your life. And a gunman opening fire. 2 women shot dead. 2 commuters and then 8 others wounded as well in that shooting. Really, really horrific.
As leaders in renewable energy finance, Nedbank has a track record spanning over 100 years. From pioneering large-scale solar and wind farms to financing complex energy infrastructure in emerging markets, Nedbank offers clients deep sector expertise, combined with the ability to navigate the unique challenges of Africa's just energy transition. See money differently. Nedbank. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crushed prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety and service, Warrior Paints is street ahead. Warrior Paints, affordable, lasting, luxury.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a parent shuttling his kids, with a back seat full of chatter, laughter, lunchboxes and lost shoes. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic. It's a regular yet special slice of a family's life. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
This Thursday marks the first day of the 2nd annual National Construction Summit, hosted by the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure and the Construction Industry Development Board. The Clement Manyetela Show on 702 will be live from the summit, sharing updates and more intel throughout the show. If you work in construction or are simply interested in finding out how the government is planning to solve issues affecting South African infrastructure, then don't miss it. The Clement Manyetela Show, live from the 2nd Annual National Construction Summit, this Thursday on 702.
And now, it's back to Mandy Wiener on the Midday Report.
This is 702.
Let's walk the talk.
In KwaZulu-Natal today, in the Durban High Court, Duduzile Zuma Sambudla back in court and on trial there in connection with the unrest and public violence that occurred in July 2021. She's facing charges of incitement to commit terrorism and 2 counts of incitement to commit public violence. She has pleaded not guilty. And Nhlanhla Mabaso, EWN reporter on that story for us. And Nhlanhla, good afternoon to you. Thanks for your time. What's happening in court today?
Well, Mandy, the matter has just been postponed to Monday. That's when it will now return to this court. Well, that's according to State Prosecutor Advocate Yuri Gangai, who is the lead prosecutor in this matter. He says he needs more time to consult witnesses. You'd recall that on Monday, when we actually started with this, what was meant to be a 10 days trial, the state called a major, that's Gopal Govender, who was responsible for the investigation of accounts, who testify that indeed Zuma Sambulda's actions did incite the violence, and he then his testimony. Yesterday, the state led more evidence from another witness who was then cross-examined today, Sarah Jane Trent. But now, according to the state, well, it's a bit difficult for them to deliver, given the fact that they still need more time to then speak. But okay, this is something that the MK Party now expresses dissatisfaction about. Mainly, they're basically saying that they are not happy with how this is now starting. Is now going, because you recall that they've been adamant, mainly, about how much of this is a political case, how much this is targeting their party leader, Jacob Zuma. They're saying that their member of parliament, the only reason she's in the dock and being prosecuted is because she is the daughter of the former president. But that's not what the state says. The state says she abused her rights, her right of freedom of speech, inciting and encouraging that people would recall she faces terrorism charges in relation to the banning of infrastructure and the looting of businesses. During the time, mainly, you'd recall that over 350 people died. Tweets had a big impact in that, but the state says it needs more time, like we mentioned, Mandy. But we know that next week the case will then return to court, where more witnesses will be called to the stand, where they will try and convince this court as to how her tweets and incited the violence. But also, Mandy, there's another aspect of what was a fake account in her name that had her name. All those, Mandy, are things that we're expecting to hear from the new witnesses as to what role they played in the looting.
Nhlanhla, thank you very much. Nhlanhla Mabaso, EWN reporter, with the latest there on that trial, which has now been postponed, of Duduzile Zuma Sambutla.
702.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
Let's walk the talk.
Well, let's end off the show with some lighter news and a great initiative for a conservation partnership that is set to revolutionize rural education and jobs around game parks in South Africa. So SANParks, that's the South African National Parks, and education non-profit the Good Work Foundation have signed a landmark agreement that will help increase access to conservation education and create job opportunities for young rural South Africans living near national parks. Kate Grosh is the CEO of Good Works Foundation and joins us now. Kate, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for your time today.
No, thank you so much for having us. We're excited to talk about this.
So you've signed this memorandum of understanding with SANParks. Talk us through it. What is the idea?
I think to start with, Good Work Foundation is an education nonprofit, and we've placed ourselves with deep roots in the rural parts of South Africa, with a mission to challenge what young people are learning, how they're learning, but most importantly, who has access to learning and who has access to opportunity. And so having read the SANParks has a 2040 vision, which I suggest all South Africans have a read. It's a thoughtful, wonderful, sort of forward-thinking document towards people-centered conservation. And with our positioning in rural Mpumalanga at the moment, and really focusing on connecting young people into these economies of wildlife and what the game reserves offer, it was a great opportunity for us to connect with them and see how we can take our impact further it and support this vision that they have.
The Good Work Foundation does operate 5 campuses in Mpumalanga. You provide digital education to school children. How will this expand that now?
I think for us, it's given us almost a roadmap as to where to next. Once you have, we've created this ecosystem of learning and working, connecting young people to the digital future, making sure that the learning that they're having is letting them step into the jobs of the future. But it's always, we have a lot of people asking us, come and do one here, come and do one here. And what this has allowed us to do is to really look at where will it best be? Where will it best serve the country, best protect the wild spaces, and best connect young people into these rural jobs? And so looking at this partnership with SANParks gives us a roadmap of where to next, be it the Greater Kruger area, be it the Addo and Eastern Cape, the Eastern Free State, or even in the Northern Cape. So it's been a wonderful partnership to really look at where in the rural parts of South Africa can we increase our impact.
Many children living near game parks have never seen a lion or an elephant in the wild, and this could be something that could potentially change that.
Absolutely, and I think it's really important. the economy of wildlife and the game reserves have really created a lot of benefits to South Africans in these areas. But it's really time, we believe, to change the beneficiaries to participants, to make sure these young people, one, get the chance to visit these beautiful places near their homes, but also have the skills to step into the job. So we don't need to keep bringing people from the cities to run these spaces, but the young people from the borders of these beautiful natural places can actually step in and be those people.
You're a qualified zoologist. You're a former school teacher. Why is this something that's so close to your heart that you're so passionate about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a serial educator. I can't help myself in the morning, so I'm a passionate teacher. I think it's so interesting to me how all the things have sort of come together. I've grown up going to game reserves. I'm passionate about the wilderness. I'm a zoologist, as you said, but I'm mostly a teacher. And so the fact that all these things are coming together with a partnership with Sand Parks, making sure young rural South Africans are getting, opportunities in these parks, I think for me is sort of a coming together of all the roads that have led to here.
Well, thank you so much for chatting to us, Kate. Kate Groch is the CEO of the Good Works Foundation, that partnership with Sandparks, ultimately connecting young people to job opportunities and careers. And that's really what we want. And if you think about the midterm budget policy speech, that's the kind of stuff that actually matters, is creating jobs, meaningful jobs, upskilling young South Africans and creating opportunities for them.
Access to the internet is vital for any country to grow. That's why the recent 6.75 billion rand digital infrastructure deal that Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking facilitated between Telkom and an Actors-led consortium is so transformational for South Africa. It unlocks growth and provides internet access to underserved communities who will now have access to the internet for the very first time. Search CIB Stories of Impact to watch the full story.
Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
I'm Samela Kelboy, an actress and mom to 3 lovely kids. I worry about how sugar can make them sick. Drinking sugary drinks could lead to diabetes, heart disease, and obesity as they get older. Diabetes is one of the top causes of death in South Africa. I'm joining the fight to demand government puts our health ahead of greedy industry profits. Government must act now. Increase the health promotion levy on sugary drinks. Sign the petition on heala.org. That's HEALA.org.
Small businesses are anything but small. They're the backbone of our communities, the dreamers, the doers, the ones who keep Mzansi moving forward. That's why 702 and Capitec Business Banking are putting them in the spotlight. Every Thursday between 6 and 8 p.m., catch Small Business Focus with Capitec, where we showcase the hustle, heart, and the secrets to thriving in today's economy. Your vision matters, and with Capitec, you're never building it alone. Small Business Focus with Capitec, the business bank for everyone. Thursdays between 6 and 8 p.m. on 702. Capitec Bank is an authorized FSP 4669.
The Midday Report.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today. Don't forget, of course, this afternoon, the Finance Minister, Enoch Godongwana, is going to be delivering the medium-term budget policy statement. And it seems as though everything is on track. Isn't that unusual for us in South Africa, considering what happened with the budget this year, where we had to go through 3 various incarnations of the budget to get it over the line between the GNU parties. But the GNU leaders meeting at a retreat last week, and it seems that they've agreed. So I think the big focus is going to be on growth, economic growth, and infrastructure development as well. Maybe he'll mention something about the target, the 3% target for inflation that we've heard rumblings about. But don't miss that this afternoon. That's going to be the big story. Well, thank you very much for listening. The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk was brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. Think bigger, think Nedbank Commercial Banking. It's 1 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Police probe yet another deadly shooting at the Nyanga taxi rank, and the Human Rights Commission calls for public schools to be fixed. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Zamini. 2 people have been killed in a mass shooting at the Nyanga. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Zamini. 2 people have been killed in a mass shooting at the Nyanga taxi rank in Cape Town today. Police are currently combing through the scene, investigating the motive behind the attack. It's understood a total of 10 people were shot at by unknown gunmen who opened fire at the rank early this morning. 7 women and 1 man have been rushed to nearby medical facilities for treatment. The police's Frederick van Wyk.
Crime scene experts are currently at a crime scene in the Nyanga taxi rank, combing the area for clues following a shooting incident earlier this morning. According to reports, several unidentified suspects randomly shot at a taxi, injuring several people. Nyanga police members were dispatched to the shooting incident immediately.
The South African Human Rights Commission says the Basic Education Department is still failing too many children with collapsing infrastructure and unequal access to quality teaching. The Commission has urged the department to address systemic challenges which are negatively affecting learners in public schools. The call was made during a briefing today where the Commission has been providing its findings from observations of these public schools. Ntokozo Khumalo reports.
The Commission has released its findings from the National Monitoring Project assessing public school readiness across all 9 provinces. It visited 150 schools. Many are plagued by poor infrastructure, unsafe toilets and chronic underfunding. Commissioner Tepo Madlingozi says the report highlights 5 key challenges that continue to rob learners of their right to education.
It's a call to action because it highlights systemic challenges in our schooling system, challenges that impact on the enjoyment of the right to basic education, access to basic education.
Madlingosi says the Commission hopes the department will finally act to fix what's broken and give South African learners the schools they deserve. Ntokozo Khumalo, Eyewitness News, Parktown.
Cases of fraud and defamation have been opened against embattled crime intelligence head Dumsani Khumalo at the Brooklyn Police Station in Pretoria today. The cases were opened by Stuart Sharnick, a close associate of suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibia. This after Khumalo listed Sharnick's criminal history before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry last week. According to Khumalo, Sharnick was convicted on 18 counts related to theft and carjacking. Sharnick does not dispute the convictions but says he was never convicted of carjacking. He says the fraud charge will likely be changed to a charge of perjury for lying under oath and defeating the ends of justice.
After consulting with my legal counsel, we decided to open up these criminal cases against him because what he said was factually incorrect, and as the head of crime intelligence, he has all access to these resources to verify his story before lying under oath.
Sharnick says his legal team is also quantifying the damage caused to his reputation.
We are quantifying the damages because it has far-reaching effects, particularly because the Madlanga Commission has been broadcast nationally and internationally.
To this now, some economists expect National Treasury to table the revised inflation target framework when Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana delivers the medium-term budget policy statement today. Godongwana will address MPs and the country at 2 p.m. on government's possible adjustment to budgets. It's the first mini-budget under the coalition government. Nogukanya Mdambo has the details.
Economists expect the mini-budget to reflect a slightly brighter fiscal position, with Treasury showing progress in stabilising government's finances. On the policy announcements, Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana could show his cards on the inflation targeting discussions. In July, the Reserve Bank announced 3% as its preferred inflation anchor within the 3 to 6% target band. Godongwana's input was absent from the announcement, causing some uncertainty.